This is Louis, and if you want to support my channel, head on over to JList or head on over to Play Asia. Check out their summer sale, which is still going but will be ending soon as it's starting to head towards the end of the summer. If you don't feel like buying anything, support me on Patreon, which many of you do, and I hope that more people will. All the links can be found in the description.
So this is Louis, and it's the afternoon. I don't have too much time in my hands, so I'm going to try to keep this commentary fairly brief and to the point of talking about CD Projekt Red, which is a company that right now in gaming is doing exceptionally well. It is a company that many people recognize as one of the most successful in the industry, being that based off of one franchise, they're on their way to becoming like a AAA developer, just based on the amount of fucking money that they're making based off the quality of their games. The Witcher 3 has been a top seller, at least on Steam and other platforms like on PC that I'm aware of. I can't speak to consoles, but I imagine it's true there too. It's been a record seller, something similar to, let's say, Grand Theft Auto 5, which, as I said the other day with Muller and Rags in a stream, is one of the best-selling games of the last however long it's been out, since 2013, I think it was. So since then, it's been a bestseller. And The Witcher 3, since its release, has been a bestseller. CD Projekt Red has been making money hand over fist, and it has been by not compromising the quality of their games. It's been not becoming a corporate entity that panders to the whims of investors or of journos. If you've played The Witcher, as I have, whether it's the first, second, or third game, they are not politically correct games. These are games that have been made by a team that is focusing on the content and the quality of the game. Not just of the story and the characters, but also just the quality of the content they're making. The politically correct developers in the industry are ruining their companies at the moment, and I'm not going to get into it. I've talked about it recently on my channel, and it may just actually be the second patron video that I do this month where I talk about it again, because it keeps coming up. The idea of get woke, go broke, it keeps happening. It keeps coming up. It's not something that I want to spend an inordinate amount of time on my channel speaking to, but it is worth harping on, because, like I've said, the evidence of why I believe what I believe keeps surfacing and keeps, people can say, legitimizing my own bias, or however said, confirmation bias. But the fact is that I'm trying to make a point that people are denying. That was the whole Angry Joe controversy that just fucking happened the other day between Jeremy from the Quartering and Angry Joe. That whole controversy was based around the fact that Angry Joe doesn't believe that SJW politics and politically correct games that are not focused in any way, shape, or form on making quality games, but instead the right games, because of that, it's destroying the Western industry. He denies all of that. And the Quartering actually talks about that. Factors that into why some of these games are failing, why card games are doing poorly, why comics are doing poorly, why films are doing poorly. He factors that quality into his analysis of why things are not quality, why they're not doing well. It is because of political correctness and SJW pandering. Unlike Jeremy, I do not hesitate to say that I do think that this is a major factor for why, especially Western gaming, is failing on all counts. You have companies all across the industry that are producing similarly bad products that pander to social justice, and as a consequence are not doing well. Because when you make social justice inspired games, you're not making quality games. You're just making the right kind of games. You're making games in line with an ideology. It has nothing to do with the quality of the content, and it has everything to do with what you check off a list to place in the game to satisfy journos and cocksuckers that are just posers, are not really gamers, are not really in this industry to do much of anything other than to get their way, which is what they continuously do. They wait for a developer to do something, say something, release something, and then they react to it. And what they do is they pressure those developers through outrage, through the false idea that they've been harmed, quote-unquote, by whatever kind of content, even though it's all fiction, it's not real, none of it has anything to do with them whatsoever. It's not about anything that's been done to them. The whole idea of I'm offended, I'm outraged, I'm harmed, I feel bad because of what you said or did, that is a power tactic. It is nothing more than a cynical tactic. It is not anything to do with that person, and it has everything to do with their ideology, because they're not actually compassionate or empathetic people. They're just using compassion and empathy and pity as a tool, a weapon, to use against everyone, so that those people that they're using it against will fall in line with their ideology. Doing that, by the way, ruins your company, as we can see with many, many, many different devs. When you do that, when you fall in line, when you bend the knee to them, you are, in essence, destroying your own company, because that is something that we can continue to see. And this is something that is in no way just exclusive to video games. This is something that you just see in every kind of different media industry. This is unequivocally true, and it's why I would like to do another video on it talking about this idea of get woke, go broke, because we're seeing just domino after domino tumble down, and it's a great time to talk about that issue because it's becoming undeniable. It's something that you have to be going out of your way, and this is the whole thing about Angry Joe, like you have to be burying your head in the sand or being a liar, an outright knowing liar, to pretend as though that this is not something that is a problem right now in gaming. There are countless different games that have pandered to these people that have gone on to fail. And that's what we're watching with Battlefield 5. And that's one of the things I've talked about in the past, but I want to lay out in full because they're paying a heavy price for what they've done with their game. And it's something that has been true for EA for quite a while now. But anyways, getting back to the point. The thing about this is that I have genuine respect for CD Projekt Red as a developer. They, by all appearances, know what they're doing. But the person that doesn't know what they're doing is the community manager. I can safely say that that's somebody in that company. If it's not someone over them that's telling them to make these decisions, if it's not that, then it is the community manager. They need to be fired. They need to be fired immediately. They are incompetent at their job, and every single opportunity to bend the knee, because this is what I think is happening. Either it's somebody that's running the account that is going to their manager, and the manager's telling them to do this, or it's someone above that manager. But someone in that company needs to be fucking fired. Because when you make barely edgy jokes, just flippant, jokes that mock the idea of social justice warriors, which is what this was. The joke was, did you just assume their gender? Which is a joke at the expense of social justice warriors. It's a joke at the expense of they constantly create rules to use against you, to put you on your back foot so that they can have power over you. It's a cynical ploy. They use that, did you just assume their gender, to have power over you. The person that made that tweet at least understands that, to some degree, they understand that this is what's actually happening. He's saying this as a joke in response because it's a tactic to have power over that person. It's to put that person on their back foot so that you can have one up over them. That's the point of saying that statement. And that's why they made that joke, and that's why the joke lands. Because it's true. It's true of those people. They're not actually empathetic. They're not actually compassionate. They're not actually quote-unquote good people or virtuous people. They're evil actors, malicious actors, Machiavellian schemers, totalitarians that are doing whatever they can to hold power over you. That's their purpose. That's their point. That's the point of the joke, is to illustrate that fact about these people. This fact that we all know, including the fucking person, whoever it was, that made the joke. They know it to be true. You can apologize all you fucking want. You know that to be the fucking case. You know that that's what this is about. You know that this is all about power to these people. This is about infiltrating and holding power over a cultural institution, that being video games. You know that that's what this is about. You fully understand that This is not about your game. This is not about being a gamer. This is not about being inclusive. This is not about any of that horse shit. This is not about anything other than people that run around looking for things to be offended by to then hold against you for their own end. That's what this is about, and you fucking know it. So like I said, and by the way, this is not the first fucking time they've done this shit. This is not the first time they've apologized for just random jokes on Twitter. 2 or 3 other times, this exact same thing happened. And what this shows is you catering to one side. A side that wants to destroy your fucking company, destroy your fucking games, destroy you for the sake of their own end. Just to control you. That's what this is all about. I'm not doing that. I want you to make your games unmolested by fucking ideology. That's what I've been screaming about for years. And many of us that are hardcore gamers that spend a lot of goddamn money on games, that's what we've been screaming about for years. Is do not cater to ideology, do not cater to ideologues, do not cater to cynical actors that are just trying to hold power over you. Cater to your fucking customers, you goddamn idiots. You know, this is the whole thing about whether it's these people or Ubisoft or anyone else, Bethesda, anyone else as it relates to this issue of just sell me your fucking game. Can't you do that? I know I went on about this in this stream that I just did with Rags and Mueller, but it's my honest question to these people. Can't you just sell me your fucking game? Can't you just, for once in your fucking lives, grow a fucking spine, have some balls, find your balls, go into the purses of these SJWs, and move aside some of the soy milk, and find your fucking balls! These people are not honest actors, and you know it to be true. That was the whole crux of the joke, so you know it to be true already. Why do you apologize to them? I'm not going to go on. I'm not going to get even more angry than I already am. I've already seen people saying that they're going to not pre-order the game. They're considering not buying Cyberpunk. I am nowhere near there. But Jesus fucking Christ, guys at CD Projekt Red, you know better, and yet you still step in it. You still apologize for what is barely just a tepid joke at the expense of totalitarians. If you had a communist leader in your country who was a transgender woman, would you just allow for communism to exist? Is that the justification for communism? Totalitarian systems is just, well, they're transgender, so I can't say anything against them. Grow some balls. Grow some balls. There's women who are trans that have bigger balls than you, CD Projekt Red. Grow some fucking balls. Grow a fucking spine. Find a fucking spine. Fire your fucking community manager. And I'm not hedging on that. Fire your fucking community manager. They need to be fucking gone. Okay? You know how ridiculous it is for me to try to talk up your fucking game, to praise your company, when you're deliberately bending a knee to my enemies, to the enemies of free speech and ideology-free gaming? Do you have any idea how hard it is for me to talk up your company and up your game as a commentator who talks about gaming when this is the shit you do? Fire your fucking community manager. And I'm just going to leave it there. Feel free to talk about this in the comment section, but this is disgusting to me. This is disgusting. This is so repulsive to see. We all know you know better. And yet you do this anyways. And for what? For what? Who are you going to satisfy by this shit? They're not going to buy your fucking game. It's people like me that do. It's people like me that show up and shell out hundreds of fucking dollars to buy your goddamn products. We're the ones. People like me are the ones who made CD Projekt Red what it is. It ain't just you. It's people like me. People like me sold your fucking game. Bought your fucking game. We're your customer base, not them. Stop fucking around. Fire this fucking person who made this apology. Fire them. They're ruining your fucking reputation.